it.
So let me get us started.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Rashanice Candy Tate, and I'm here with...
Robert Pinnell.
I'm with the Atlanta branch of the Association for the Study of African American Life and History, ASALH, and you're a student?
Yes. Atlanta Metropolitan State College.
And we're here today interviewing Raymond Curtis on June 6, 2015 in Austell, Georgia. Uncle Curtis, thank you for allowing us to interview you today, and Mr. Robert is going to take over from here.
Okay. So where and when were you born?
I was born in Henderson, Kentucky, July the 12th, 1943.
If you don't mind me asking, what were you doing before you entered the service?
I was in school,
Where were you in school?
Kentucky State.
How was Kentucky State?
It's fine. It was fine.
Okay.
I enjoyed it.
That's good.
It's close to home. I transferred from Maryland to get close to home.
When you major in?
What'd you major in?
Biology.
Biology? Okay. What made you want to do biology?
I want to be a scientist, but that to change my mind later.
There's nothing wrong with change.
Yeah.
When you actually went into the military, what branch did you serve in?
United States Air Force.
United States Air Force, okay. Did you enlist or were you drafted?
I enlisted.
Okay. Was there any specific reason why you chose to enlist in that branch?
I felt more comfortable with the Air Force than the Army and Marines, and plus was during wartime also.
What brought that comfort?
What country?
What brought the comfort to you wanting to join the Air Force more than others?
I wanted two. First one was in Dominican Republic Air Force Base called San Isidro, and in Vietnam, Van Rang.
Okay. How was training camp?
Training was a shock. Initial shock at the beginning because I never was used to the rigorous discipline.
Okay. What type of things did you have to go through?
Get up at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock in the morning, marching to dinner to chow. We call it chow. And it was real strict. And then going to bed at 9. You had to. It was not. You didn't have a choice.
Where was your training camp?
In San Antonio, Lackland Air Force Base, San Antonio, Texas.
How long did it last?
It was 9 weeks.
This was the roughest 9 weeks.
Yeah, 9 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. How were your instructors?
They were discipline orientated. So that was in order to make sure that you was not under control, but then that you're disciplined, you be able to take orders without hesitant.
Okay. So you feel that they got you prepared more than anything?
They did. They got you prepared.
Okay.
Mentally, yeah.
How was it moving? How was it going from Kentucky to Texas? Was there any shock or anything, like culture shock?
Heat. San Antonio, Texas is a lot different from a lot of areas in the country. I never was around a lot of Hispanics. San Antonio, Texas is an Hispanic city, and the heat differential go like 95 to 100. Really, that was in October. That was in October.
Oh.
It was in the 90s.
That's that. What year?
1964.
Okay. Did you receive any special training or anything while in training camp?
Yes, we was in the security division, and we was trained to make sure all bases were secured, especially aircrafts, and it included a lot of electronic devices that we had to learn how to do.
Okay. Did you have to adapt to anything specifically with the military life? Like anything that was a big change for you?
I guess a lot of things. It was isolation, and the difference from where I've been. I've never been the place where you were just limited in an area that was it. For example, I was stationed at Myrtle Beach, and it's 1964. It was still racist. highly racist. In other words, the ocean, Atlantic Ocean was like 2 miles away, and the blacks could not go into the ocean water. It's hard to believe, but in order for us to go in the ocean, we had to go 30 miles away to a city called Atlantic Beach, and for our entertainment was between two piers. So that was a shock. Although I came from Kentucky, but it was less segregated.
Oh, I can understand. What was there anything that was more impactful than that, maybe socially, during that time for you?
Social life was kind of, you're talking 64?
Yeah.
64, it was kind of limited to what you do on base and go downtown. You was bored, you know.
Just kind of waiting around for...
Waiting around.
So once you got out of training, your training camp, where did you actually serve?
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina was my first assignment.
Oh, okay.
And from there, I went to what you call temporary duty. I went to Dominican Republic, Vietnam, Blyville Air Force Base, in Arkansas, TDY to South Korea.
What was it like in the Dominican Republic?
Actually, again, it was during the conflict, and we didn't have a whole lot of freedom to go a lot of places because it was dangerous in spots. For example, I went to Santo Domingo, and it's a bridge before you get into Santo Domingo, and the rebels took the time to spray the bridge, with gunfire. So we had to turn back, go back to the base because it was dangerous. However, we had a better chance to meet a black person than what they call the gringos. They accepted us, but being Americans at that particular time unpopular.
So at that time, it was less about your skin color, but just more about where you're from or what you're representing.
Yeah, right. And actually, we invaded their country. We're not invaded, but we were there to protect, to fight on one side. So no one likes a stranger coming to your house.
I can understand that. What was Vietnam like? And how long were you actually stationed in Vietnam for?
I can tell you exactly 1 year and 7 days. The tour of duty is 1 year. I got infected with my foot, and I had to stay in the hospital an extra 7 days before I could return.
So what was there any difference? What was the biggest difference between being in Vietnam and being in the Dominican Republic?
Much dangerous. I mean, Viet Cong, and I never made contact with the North Vietnamese, but Viet Cong was very strong at that particular time. Whereas they was equipped military, but not. And Dominican was just.
So, while in Vietnam, what was the biggest time you felt the most danger?
For me, most dangerous?
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I had a temporary duty assignment in a place called Da Lat, Vietnam. And my job was to make sure this all-weather place was secured and was on top of a mountain. And I would have to leave like 6 o'clock in the morning, still dark, lonely by myself with a M16 grenade and a radio. And obviously they didn't want to kill me because it was a routine thing going up the top of this mountain and returning. So that's the most fearful thing for me, being in the Air Force. But I was not out there in the boonies like Army guys and Marines.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. What did you do for recreation while you were off duty?
In Vietnam.
Yeah. I mean, should I say it a little quieter? Your wife
That's
upstairs.
fine. It's fine. They have a strip called Sin Strip in Fanway. And it consists of Vietnamese women and music. And so that's where he went to really off base. On base. Every now and then they would have a show come in, like Bob Hope came in, but it really was not for the brothers, for the black guys. It was lopsided. I would say that, you know.
Do you feel like, African Americans, do you feel like you had enough representation, or you were represented, the way you needed to be over in Vietnam?
And I would actually no, because like you just asked a question about entertainment. I only saw one African American entertainer, and she was on the show with Teresa Grace. That's before your time. Only one in the entire year. So, obviously, when I came back to America, it was a shock to even see a black lady, because she looked like giants, because everybody over there was small. It was a difference.
I can see, yeah. How did you stay in touch with your family and friends back home?
I had a problem. I would write, but not enough. And also we had equipment where we go to make phone calls, like a call that you can make. Kind of how we did that. It was tricky. We could actually make phone calls from Vietnam at that particular time, but it wasn't available for everybody. Being in the unit I was in, I was close to communication at all times. So I was able to do that. And letters.
So you did more calls than letters, or?
Probably more letters.
Okay. What kind of friendships did you build, form while you were over serving?
In Vietnam?
Yeah.
A lot of fellows that that I was close to, and I don't have contact with them now, so it wasn't the greatest. It's 1 year, so we lost track. That's right.
Did you ever meet anybody, I guess, close to where you were from?
I met about three or four guys, and guys was in college with me. I met some of those guys.
Oh, you met them over there?
Yes, they got drafted. They was in the Army. It's come from the battlefield. No, you don't forget faces. I met in the Army and Air Force too. I met a couple of guys.
So, with you being in the Air Force, like you just said, you met a few old college friends that were in the Army. How was the interaction between the different branches of military, like carrying out certain things?
Say it again.
How was the interaction between, like, the different branches of the military, like you being in the Air Force and your friends being in the Army?
I hate to keep on bringing this up, but it was based on a racial thing. Believe it or not, that's how in the 60s, blacks was kind of sticking together as brothers. In the 60s were doing, a lot of civil rights changes were being made. So the Army guys, they accepted us. There was no difference like that. Even Navy, I met a Navy friend. It was around the racial thing. And of course, when you go to the dining hall, you can actually see that, because you could eat any place you want to in the dining hall or chow hall, but you will see all blacks grouped together. I mean, I don't know if it still exists, but you will see that.
What was the most, you describe, I guess, the most racial tension that you actually witnessed?
I was in South Korea, Osan, South Korea, in April. Martin Luther King was assassinated. And the time difference, woke up in the morning like 11 or 12 o'clock and went into the bathroom, and signs was on the wall, ha ha ha, King is dead. And so that actually infuriated a lot of blacks. It got to the point where there was actually fights and everything, and the whites was instructed to go in pairs 3 times because blacks were attacked because, the tension. This was in the 60s. So, you had your riots and all that in the 60s. Detroit, Chicago, and places like that. So it was kind of tight there.
Were there any, did you ever hear about any riots, like maybe on bases or anything around that same time?
Not riots, but fights. Not riots, we had plenty of fights.
Okay. Have you ever heard of Project 100,000?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So, sorry.
You said you hadn't heard of it.
No, I haven't heard.
Did you? Because it may not have been called that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so kind of explain what it is.
Sorry. Yeah. Project 100,000 was a program enacted by an organization to essentially get a lot more people into the military around the time of the Vietnam War to get them enlisted. They promised them things like special training, but there ended up being a large majority of blacks, and most people that got trained, the 40% of the blacks that actually enlisted were sent to the front lines, and they weren't given the special training that they were that they were offered. They didn't get that training, I guess, because they would say there were too many numbers, like they were overbooked, I guess, if you want to say that.
I can do that.
Did you see any difference in, so like you said you went to college, so like as a college draftees and or enlisted versus folks who didn't have education? I mean, were there...
Well, mainly the college guys with the education most likely got better jobs because it was not, I guess it was more disciplined, and our background was a little higher than just a guy 18 or 19 years old going into a war situation. And of course I was mature, I was 21 years old, and they were kids. So it's a lot of difference.
But that distinction was more age and maturity, not race.
Age,
Or
well,
in your opinion.
In the Air Force, supposedly, your job's meant by exam and tests, and you could see the difference there on scores, I guess. Like a lot of guys became cooks, and also I can see the difference talking about racial promotion wise. At that particular time, they had to call it APR, evaluation. And for me, I thought I was getting great scores, and I was coming up as an excellent person, excellent. I'm looking for a promotion, but they said I was not outstanding. So it was a word thing. That threw me off a while.
Did you ever actually see someone that you were more qualified than actually, that was white, that actually got a promotion that you feel like you deserve?
Yes. Because like I told you, you was promoted on those exams, and being stationed in the Air Force, it goes by seniority and rank. And usually the guys been in the service like 8, 10, or 12 years, especially in like Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. They are from that area. So the racial habits was come from a child, and where they socialize with each other, like when they have social parties, the blacks was not invited, so they develop a friendship amongst each other. You take care of me. So it's buddy buddy. You understand that?
Yeah.
And that could happen.
Mm.
That happened in the Air Force.
How did you return home?
I returned home from after I got out of the military or what?
Yeah.
I was stationed in Blytheville, Arkansas. It was time to come home. I had a car. I drove home.
And what? So this was 69?
8.
Still 68. Okay.
Okay. Where were you when you got the news that you were going home?
I was in Blytheville Air Force. So, you know, it's 4-year tour. October 4th to 64 to October 4th, 68.
How were you received once you got back home? By your family, friends, community?
I was received very well, and I was received very well at the particular time. I was very, very well.
Okay. I don't mean to backtrack, but were there any, once you when you chose to enlist, were there any promises of, I guess, improvement on your civilian life once you actually came back home?
Never no promises.
So if you don't mind me asking, what made you want to enlist?
64, I would probably have been drafted in the Army.
You just felt like you kind of beat him to it?
Rather go to the Air Force and go to the Marines or the Army.
How did you readjust to civilian life once coming home?
I got out in October. It was a short adjustment. It was a very short adjustment. I started traveling with the insurance company, and I was having fun.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Are you a member of any veterans organizations?
No, I just joined the VA to get benefits. I'm not active in the VFW and nothing like that. I should be.
What have you done since separating from the military?
Besides working?
Yeah.
I retired from United Parcel Service, and
You worked there how long? From when?
I'm sorry.
Huh?
You worked there how long?
At home,
How long did you work at UPS?
32 years. I also worked at the insurance company for 8 years. So.
And this was which insurance company?
Atlanta Life Insurance Company. I traveled from city to city.
Has anyone ever approached you, I guess, about military stories, looking for anything to hear?
Say it one more time.
Has anybody ever approached you about asking you about stories from over there? Like,
No. Yeah, I guess someone always asks questions. Want to know what it's like.
if you had a chance to go back to Vietnam now, would you go?
Actually, I would. I would love to go back to this place I told you about, Dalat, Vietnam. It was one of the most beautiful places I've been in my life. And I would love for people to just see that. It was a very educated area. The weather was like spring weather. All year round. It was in the mountains. Actually wore sweaters, and it's got a lot of nature. I would go back there. Maybe Ho Chi Minh too, which was Saigon. It's a major city.
How did the wartime experiences affect your life?
I never had a lot of traumatic experiences, so the adjustment, like bombing or like that, it really didn't bother me like some of the guys was out there in the Marines digging in every day and every night. So it didn't affect me that bad. I'm not off hook.
What are some life lessons you learned from your service in the military?
I believe the greatest thing from the military, and I would encourage anybody that's not doing anything, is the discipline aspect. Because before I went in, I was haphazardly. And now I can see why the military actually, not say control you, but make you look further ahead rather than just take things as it goes. It's designed for you to be prepared and look farther down the road rather than just what's happening now. Which I hate about now. A lot of kids said this is the now generation. The Air Force and the Army and Marines are advanced to make you look further.
How has your service in the military impacted your feelings about war or about the military?
I actually think it's a necessary evil that it's going to happen, and we have to protect our homeland, and small things that you are comfortable with, you take for granted. If we don't protect that, it could easily fall short like some of the other countries, and although we have some bad experiences away from here, but America still is the greatest country to ever live in, so you got to respect that. And so I think we need to defend it at all times.
What message would you like to leave for future generations if they ever hear your interview?
I would like for them to be focused, like I told you before, the military, give the aspect to look further ahead. Like everybody has a 5-year plan. It's 5 years may not be enough, look, maybe 10 years. But stay focused and look further ahead, because rather than what's going on now, to me it's like it's a war going on now, because kids out in the streets, they have no idea, no direction at all. Especially on what's going on out, all this killing and these guns. So I actually believe some of those kids need to be in the military. When they got rid of the draft, they left kids in limbo from 18 to 20. 18 years old, you cannot even be bonded on a lot of jobs. So if they're not college material, or they don't get some kind of training, technical training, they in limbo, so they're going to take. They're not willing to go to McDonald's and work for $7 an hour. And, so they really take. That's what. So.
Is there anything you feel like you want to add? Anything we haven't gone over? Anything you want to discuss? I mean, to bring up about anything?
I think you covered a lot. I think you covered a lot, and I like for the people to know that it was all rosy. And like I said, I went through a period in the 60s. And the 60s was a lot different now because we paved the way for people afterwards. So now the Air Force and all this make drastic changes where they really go with exams totally promotion rather than a social promotion. So that knocked out, said that part of that racial thing, like I said, if you're my buddy, my friend, you can promote me. But if I'm not your buddy, you're not going to promote me.
Yeah. With regarding, say, the anti-war movement back at home, the peace, love movement, all of that. How did you feel about that with you being in the military yourself?
It was a shock. I mean, it was a shock to come back home and knowing that you have actually risked your life and come back home and not be accepted. Vietnam veterans, I don't think never been totally accepted because actually when they lost the war, then they thought it was a bad period of time to fight, and especially the anti-war movement. Say, oh, I'm risking my life for the country, and you come back and you're not accepting me. That's like a slap in the face.
If you had anything you want to tell any fellow veterans, what would it be?
Fellow veterans, I want them to take advantage of the benefits that's available for you. Yeah, take the advantage. They are available for you. I mean, if you have health problems or something like that, if you're qualified, use it. Like I said, I waited late to do it. I should have been, benefits years ago, but now I found out it's working.
Uncle Curtis, I have a couple of just follow-up questions about your time when you were training in boot camp. Did you have any instructors that you remember in particular that stood out in your training for what they taught you? Anybody come to mind? You might not remember their name, but something that they taught you.
They were all trained. I could look back on it now. So they are trained to be the way they are. It don't seem human at a particular time, but now you know. I noticed one sergeant was Teague. I could see that he had a human side rather than all military side. But they are trained to be that way, and that's the only way you're gonna be able to do it. They can't be soft. Yeah.
And his name was Teague?
Teague. I'm pretty sure he's probably deceased because he was much older than I was.
Mm-hmm. Kind of T-E-A-G-E?
T-E-A, the same with basketball players.
Okay.
The same exactly like.
Okay. And then the last, based on what you've told us, you mentioned you had to stay a year and 7 days because of a foot infection. Now,
Right.
what happened?
In Vietnam, our shower facility was maybe like a quarter of a mile. And you would take a shower and I would have to walk back to your, we eventually got barracks. And I had an athlete foot and it was dirt. And when I was walking back, I was drying it off. All I was doing was drying, rubbing dirt into the wound. So eventually, came up to my groin. And I was trying to make it back to the States without going to the hospital. I got to the point where it was unbearable. And had not I gone to the doctor at a particular time, they said a possibility of amputation because I was infected so bad. And for 7 days, I was getting penicillin shots every 4 hours to get the poison out of my body. That was the 7 days.
Because I was like, that's kind of how you remember it, 1 year and 7 days. Something must have happened.
Yeah, that was it.
Definitely. And then lastly, you mentioned you wrote letters. Who did you write letters to, and do they still have your letter?
No, I died. I wrote my mother and a couple of friends.
We want to ask you about your couple of friends. Mom may still have letters. Do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. All right.
I don't think so.
And do you have any pictures of you in uniform, or she has them? Or?
I have some pictures in home somewhere.
Okay.
Yes, I have some pictures in home.
We would love to.
But not uniform. Yeah, I have some pictures if they can find them.
Any from that period?
Yeah. No, I don't have anything here.
Okay.
They were on slides too.
Okay. Yeah, well, we know how to convert those. Well, thank you for your service. for your time today and educating both of us.
Wow.
That we
Okay.
appreciate you and all that you've done for our country.
Thank you.
Thank you.